I've been asked to speak here at this conference. They asked me to speak about the Italian movement and my organization, our campaigns, but I decided not just to speak about what we do, what we are doing, what we managed to get, and our successes and so on, but I wanted to speak more broadly about the Italian movement, and not only about not only about the movement, but what's happening around the idea and the movement of animal rights in the country. And especially I want to speak about some challenges that we are facing, and I think that are not only happening in Italy. And so just some thoughts, and I'm here to bring some maybe questions. I don't have the answers for everything, but I wanted to show more about what's happening in our country. Maybe it is an interesting case study, because what we're facing is an expanding movement. It's not the same movement I was speaking about here a few years ago, or I was speaking about in some other conferences maybe 10 years ago. It's definitely a completely different movement now, and I think the same is happening all around Europe. And so where to start? I want to start with this image. I think all of you know this image. It's an iconic picture of the liberation of the Green Hill Beagles. This happened in April 2012, so 5 years and a half ago. And for those of you not knowing the story, it was this farm breeding dogs for vivisection was stormed by activists during the day, during a demo, and 70 dogs were rescued. And all the media went crazy about it, crazy in a positive way. All the Italians were happy about it. Millions of people were supporting this direct action, were supporting the campaign. So this was a really defining moment for our movement in Italy, because this campaign brought such a peak of attention for the animals. And so from then on we decided, okay, this is the moment where we know we can close down this farm, and it happened just a few months later. And this was also the moment when we said, okay, maybe now it's time to get a lot more attention also on other animals, which is something I will be speaking later. But just to talk about vivisection, what happened? I was speaking in this same room, I think it was 5 or maybe 6 years ago, about 5 years ago, about this campaign. And so some people, when I was speaking about this campaign, some people in Italy, some people around were asking, okay, but what's the goal of these campaigns against one farm after the other? Are they getting really some results against vivisection? Do we get really less animals killed in the labs? And obviously we do not know the real answer, but we know that this campaign got some influence on the vivisection industry in Italy, definitely, and on the public. And I have some numbers to speak about it. Some people say, okay, this is just a campaign for the dogs, and you maybe get less dogs killed, but it will not reduce the other animals. Actually, it's the opposite way. You can see from the numbers of animals used in Italy in 2007, which is 10 years ago, there was almost 1 million animals killed in Italian labs. And when I started campaigning against vivisection, it was in 2002, 2001, there were more than 1 million animals killed in Italian labs. And now, last year, 2 years ago, which is the latest figures we have in Italy, we have almost half of that number, which means actually, you know, I call this page the decline of vivisection. The numbers are really lowering down a lot. It's still big numbers, but really getting to half of what was happening 10 years ago. But the number of dogs used, you can see that when the campaign started, 2010, 2012, and the years later, there were less dogs, but then the numbers went higher again. But the numbers of all the other animals didn't go up. So this means this campaign maybe didn't save that many dogs, it didn't have an impact on that, but the campaign brought with it not only the closure of the farm, it brought some laws that are unprecedented, some laws that are only in Italy for the first time in the world, that are banning certain experiments, that are banning the breeding of dogs, cats, and primates for vivisection. So I think this campaign went really further than closing down just one farm. So I see that the vivisection industry is really going down, also because of public support for the animals, of course, and we will see later some figures of how many Italians are against vivisection, and also because, of course, like on some other issues, technology is coming to help us, because the more alternative methods are validated, the less animals are killed in the labs. So this is just one of the issues I've been working a lot in the last 15 years in Italy, and we have been campaigning a lot. And we thought that when the beagles were really the icons of the animal liberation and the animal rights movement, we should use that empathy to move it towards other animals. So then we started this other work that we're doing. I started with other people this organization called Essere Animali in 2011, while the Green Hill campaign was was still going on. And we decided, okay, well, now it's the time when there is an attention for the animals, and we need to move it for other species that usually people don't have empathy about, and the media don't talk about. So we started doing investigations, like happened in many countries in Italy, in Europe, and these are just a few of the national media that we got in the last 3 years or 4 years, and it's all national media, the main important media in Italy altogether. We managed to speak about fur farming and pig farming and the production of eggs and rabbits and the slaughtering of horses and chicken farming, and also we had some national media speaking, showing our footage about organic farms and organic egg farming, so to show that it's not so good, and even the organic side has got some bad things happening for animals. And then altogether, in last year, in 2016, just our organization managed to get this footage out to 16 million people in Italy, only by TV. And there has been some more work done by other animal rights organizations in Italy. So this means that in the last years, millions and millions of Italians have been exposed to animal cruelty and footage of factory farming, and especially the meat industry. So this means that all this would have been really impossible a few years before. I would have never thought about having, like, for example, if you go back here, one of the one on the right down is a special on TV. It was 1 hour long, and it was all about factory farming and animal issues, and it was all with our footage, and it is one of the most important TV shows if you think about journalism in Italy. And so it was all about animal farming and with our footage. So I would have never been dreaming about it 10 years ago. So it is a completely different situation where now we have the space to speak about animals and animal rights and their conditions on national media to millions of people. And this is really reshaping the movement, actually. It's not just our work, but what I say is about the movement going in other directions. And we can see we made last year not last year, but in January, we made a kind of poll among our supporters and our followers. And we sent it to 70,000 people, actually. And we got a lot of interesting answers. And this is, I think, now very interesting, because we asked, what is the issue that brought you to the movement, to follow us or to be interested in animal rights for the first time? And the 50% of them said factory farming. I'm sure people that are here, older people like me that have been in the movement for quite a long time, maybe if this question was asked 10 years ago, I'm sure we never did it, unfortunately, but I'm sure 100% that the first issue will be vivisection of fur farming. And all around Europe, I've been involved in the movement by the vivisection industry and the campaigns in the 90s against vivisection, and I'm sure many people in the 90s have been really a catalyst, have been the campaigns against the fur or fashion industry. But now, most of the people that are following us, most of the people in Italy that are into animal rights, they say, I came here, I arrived to this because of factory farming. So it means that now other species that were considered, that had a lower consideration, now are the main issue that people think about and they come across and then they start to be active about. So I think this is quite interesting. And it shows also the different movement is also reshaping also the idea and the support of people, of the public opinion about many issues in Italy. And this is the latest data we have about the Italian public thinking about animal issues. So you can see that it's very, very high numbers. We have the public opinion completely on our side on many issues like food farming, circuses with animals, animal experiments, and we have, anyway, the majority on all the other issues. And so this gives an idea of the environment we're working in, an environment that is very positive with people supporting our campaigns. And so this is very important. Unfortunately, with all these issues, we didn't get any ban yet. We didn't get the politician to understand that these are the feelings of the people and that they should ban food farming, like we've been campaigning for a few years now, or circuses with animals. We are almost there, maybe. And animal experiments, you can see I was speaking about it before. Now, 80%. The year before, it was 86% of Italians saying no to animal experiments. So you can see why maybe also the numbers are going down. The environment around research has been changed, mainly by campaigns and maybe mainly about the by the Green Hill campaign. So this public opinion is the people that surrounds us, and these are people that make choices, people that go everyday shopping, and people that so can decide whether to buy animal products or not. So these people are, we don't have, unfortunately, maybe all these people avoiding meat, but we have a lot of people that are thinking about these issues, and we can see some results on many issues. We have seen vivisection before, but this is where the public really gets in. The decline of fur, maybe it's very, you cannot see it, and it's written in Italian anyway. If you can see these circles, this is a question that was made by the Italian food fashion industry to their members. So it means food farmers, it means food retailers, and it means people owning shops selling food. And the question is, how do you see the evolution of the market, of the fur market, in the last 3 years and in the next 3 years? The red means I see a decline. So you can see that the vast majority said the last 3 years, which is on the left, I've seen a decline of our market. And how do you see the future? On the right, they say, half of them say even more decline. So they see really, like, they are saying that themselves, it's their own numbers. And the food industry themselves, they say there is a drop in sales 8% every year. And this is even if Italy, maybe some of you don't know it exactly, but is a there is something that is called the fashion holidays, or like people coming to Italy just to buy fashion clothes because the main companies, the main big names of fashion are coming from Italy. So Italians are really not buying fur anymore, and you can see it, fortunately, less and less in the streets. So the decline of fur is there, and they're saying that themselves, even if they tried to fight back with fur trims and all these kind of things that were trying to hide the animals inside, or anyway hide their presence on the clothes. And the decline of fur is also happening with fur farms. A few years ago, in 2013, we started our campaign to ban fur farming, mink farming in Italy. All fox farms had been closed a few years before. The last chinchilla farms closed down 2 years ago, and we had about 180,000 minks being killed in Italy. At the time, the farmers were heavily advertising mink farming as a very, very profiting industry, a profiting market, and they said they will double the number of the farms, they will double the number of the animals killed and the pelts produced in a few years. So we started our campaign to fight back against this, and we managed to stop a lot of the new farms opening up, even 40,000 mink big farms. And we managed to close down even a few of the active farms. And now I found these numbers just 2 days ago from foodeurope.com, which is the European food farmers website, that the Italian numbers are officially getting down of 20,000 less. It's not enough. We will fight again for a ban, but at least we have seen, we managed to stop their advertising campaign, we managed to stop the opening and the expanding of their industry. And I want to say this because it's not just to say, okay, we have been good, we have been great activists, but because this happened because of public opinion and public support. Whenever a new farm was going to open, it was not just us fighting that. It was the city council, it was the local people, it was, you know, local politicians that tried everything. Even if the law in Italy is not easy, you cannot ban something locally if it is legal or accepted on a national level. So they had to find all the ways and legal ways to stop the opening, or at least to delay it, and maybe just delaying it for years. It will cost so much to the farmer that in the end they will not open. But I want to say this because if it was like 10 years ago again, maybe we wouldn't have the public support and all the locals coming to the demos and supporting us, and all the people dropping banners from their houses in small towns just to say no to a new mink farm in their town. So this is very good. It's like how the animal rights message is getting across to the general public. So this is not just our victories, it's the Italians of the, you know, the Italian people victories and results. And then there is the rise of vegans, which is something that the media talk about a lot. I'm sorry I could not translate this. I didn't have time to do it in the last days. So 7.6% of Italians are either vegetarian or vegans. 3% are vegans and 4.6% are vegetarians. These are the latest numbers from this year. And it's a great rise because you can see that in 2016, the vegans were 1%, and then they went up 300% to 3% of the population. So what this brings with is a lot of attention about vegans and veganism. It brings a lot of attention by companies that want to sell vegan products, which is good. A lot of attention by haters, people that want to make fun of vegans, and then a lot of attention by farmers and producers of, you know, animal products, and I will speak about it later. And so it's not just the vegans, obviously, getting results on the drop of sales, but it's a big part of the population. But we can see when they say that, I think this happens also in other countries, when we say, okay, there is a lot more vegans, there is always this pessimistic animal rights person that says, okay, yes, but we're not getting any results for the animals. But let's see some data that we collected. Like, for example, the per capita consumption of milk is really dropping. In the last 10 years, it's 33% less, and the milk industry is getting crazy in Italy because they're trying to get a lot of, they're looking for export markets because otherwise they say they're dying, because Italians are not really drinking enough milk now to support the industry. So the same for butter and yogurt. All the milk products are really consumed less and less by the Italians. And this is, of course, if you see 33% less per capita consumption, it doesn't mean that it's the impact of vegans. This is the impact of people reducing their consumption. We have millions and millions of people reducing their consumption and switching to the vegan milk. We cannot use the word milk, of course. It's illegal, but it's one of the things that they're fighting back on. And you can see that people is moving towards the alternatives. So this, again, not really the vegans having an impact, and not just as activists, but we are reshaping the idea of food, the idea of animal farms and factory farming. So people is slowly moving towards a kind of way of eating. So this is getting some results. But some people even here say, okay, it's good, people sell more soya milk or rice milk, but there is no result for the animals. These pessimistic vegans or pessimistic animal rights people are everywhere. And so I want to show also some data on animals, which will be later. There is some also per capita consumption about meat. There is a drop in the consumption of meat, especially red meat, by the Italians. And you have everywhere there is this company called Coop, which is a cooperative. It's a big chain of supermarkets. The Italian Coop has made every year what they call the yearly report of Italian and consumptions and habits and a lot of issues. And last year they called it, the title on the press release, it was speaking about so many issues, technology and relationships, family, but the title was The Italians Escaping Away from Meat. That was really the title of the 2016 report. So just to show how big this really is happening in Italy. And some So for the negative and pessimistic vegans, some impacts on animals. So farmed pigs, there is 10% less since 2008, and this means 1 million animals less being slaughtered, 1 million pigs less in the Italian farms, and slaughtered pigs less 14%. The number of farmed and slaughtered animals, you probably understand it's not the same because there is import, there is export. Italians are importing a lot of pigs from countries like the Netherlands or Denmark, and it's different kind of farming. Italians are farming the biggest pigs in Europe because of ham and different kind of products they want to produce, so they buy other animals. So the numbers are differently. In Lombardia, which is the region I live in, it's the main farming region in Italy. You can see that almost half of the pigs, half of the cows being raised in the whole country are just raised in this region. So to see that the farmers are complaining there is less 21% pigs in the farms just in this region, it means there is big results, especially at least in these species like pigs. Pig farming is really on the decline, and they are really crazy, and they're trying to get money from the European Union, from the state, because otherwise they say they have no way to get on with their work. And so there is other numbers. I put a big question mark because these numbers are coming from the farmers themselves. They made some press release 1.5 years or about 2 years ago, and I could not find the data anywhere else. But anyway, they were making this big press release, like saying there is 300,000 less cows in the Italian farms and 700,000 farmed rabbits in the Italian farms. So they're really complaining the number of animals in farms is going down. The industries are really getting a lot of problems. So there is question mark, but these are positive, really positive numbers. And so what they're doing is they called it the revenge of beef. They made a hashtag. It was 2 years ago when the Italians were really escaping from it. The Coldiretti, which is the union of one of the main union of farmers in Italy, said in 2015 it's the first time ever that Italians are spending more money on vegetables than on meat. And this is the main thing they're spending their money on, the Italian families. And they made this very long press release saying it's a shame now 1 Italian out of 10 is not eating meat at all. And so they went on the streets, on the squares in many Italian cities, and you can see one of the pictures, and they were giving out free meat to the people. And they called it the revenge of beef. So you can see that when they do this, they're really desperate. They need people to eat meat even for free, and they need people to support them. They need people to get away from, the vegetarian thing and spending too much money on vegetables and fruits. So this one good news tells you like they're really desperate and they're trying to, to get more support and to bring the people back to their old habits that they're losing. And so these are very good news. Things are changing. The movement is growing. We're getting a lot of support. There's not just animal rights people now having a vegan diet or having an impact on the animal industries. Millions of people are slightly moving towards our part and are trying to move toward the part where there is compassion for animals. But there is some challenges, because when a movement grows, as you have seen before, there is someone fighting back. And I've put here just 3 challenges that I see now happening and for the future, and I think it's very interesting to think about, and that should be discussed by activists and by all of us. And one of them is this, it's chicken farming. Unfortunately, I told you before, like the big drop in sales and consumption of pigs and pig meat and red meat, and you all know that this happens everywhere. People go away from red meat, and sometimes, unfortunately, they switch to white meat or chicken meat. And this is very bad news, because the downside is slaughtered chickens, the number of slaughtered chickens is going up. So in Italy, these are just Italian numbers, the millions of chickens being slaughtered has been going up. Even just last year, from 505 million to 525 million, so 20 million animals more. So if you look at the kilograms of consumption, the number, this is okay with the reduction of, this is going along with the reduction of consumption by the Italians, because just the number 1 million of pigs are really weight a lot more than 20 million chickens. So it's not strange. It's still the data on the Italians going away from meat and consumption of meat. It's okay. The problem is they're switching to a kind of meat where more animals are killed. And this is a big problem. One issue that we should really think about. This is one of the reasons we released our latest investigation was about chicken farming, and Animal Equality in Italy also released an investigation on chicken farming, and this is something that we should be working on, because people have to understand that switching from red meat to white meat is not really better for their health, and at least, and obviously it's not better for the animals, and even it's really, really worse. And another animal that is suffering from this situation is fishes, and because, as you know, many people say, okay, I'm moving towards a vegetarian diet, but I will still eat fish, or at least I don't want to eat processed meat anymore because the World Health Organization say it's really bad for the health. I will eat some fish, and fish consumption in Italy in 2016 went up 9.5%, which is a lot of animals. And this is a big issue that we have to talk about. Fishes are the next pigs, and I hope the next cats and dogs in a few years, because we have to talk about the problem in the movement. We have a problem. We're not talking about enough about fishes, and we are starting now, maybe, I hope, to address the issue. And we should use the latest data. We have the latest studies about the empathy and the abilities about fishes, just to show the people that, as they thought before, like pigs were stupid animals, but now more people is understanding that pigs are like dogs and are not so different. So we have to bring the chicken up to the same level for the people, and then the fish, which is the hardest part maybe, but we have to let people understand that all animals have the same rights, and they have their own world and their own life that depends also on us and our consumption. So this is one really big challenge that we are facing, that we are reducing the consumption of meat for people, but we are killing more animals at the moment. That's what's happening. So that's a really big problem maybe that we have to deal with. And the other one is angry farmers. This is a nice picture of an angry farmer. And angry farmers are not just people yelling at you, shouting, or beating you, like what happened in many maybe demos. Angry farmers are farmers that are fighting back. Especially, it happened in the past for food farmers, it happened by vivisectors. Everyone that has been under hard and harsh campaigns has been fighting back heavily, whatever way. But the vegan movement was not so scary a few years ago, maybe, and especially in some countries. But it's becoming scary because, as you see, the consumption are dropping, and the numbers in some of their markets are really, really going down. So they are very angry. They have to defend their own market, they have to defend their own job, and they hate us because we are really creating this problem for us. So the angry farmer is not the one yelling at you, but is the one that is trying to have, is lobbying the parliament to have some laws. Like in Italy, they tried to get this law. It will never pass. Don't be afraid, but they're trying to get a law making it illegal for a child to be vegan. Like the parent will go to jail if the child is having a vegan diet. So this is one subtle way, to fight back, or other ways that they are trying to, use everything they can to shame the vegans and say, okay, our products, the animal products are really healthy and the vegan diet is not. So the angry farmer is fighting back. Now we are no longer a small movement, a small fringe or niche movement. We are millions and millions, and more are coming. So the more we will be, the harder they will fight back. And then we will win, don't worry. And then there is another problem. This is the angry vegan. She hasn't got the vegan tattoo, but I've just found this picture. And the angry vegan is us. our movement, how, you know, I like the idea of showing this picture after this. You see the similarity. Do you want to look like the angry farmer? I don't want. So the angry vegan is the one that is this cliche of, you know, the vegan is always angry, always bitter, always negative, always shouting at people. And of course, I'm not talking about being peace and love and happy and hippie, but we have to be very positive with our communication and to be an inclusive movement and not a movement that makes people go away from us. So this is very important. There will be some talks about it later. Also, Tobias will be speaking about it, so I will not deal with it very much. But this is one of the challenges we are facing, especially with this. This is the angry online vegan. And you see, I'm sure you have dealt with this many times. You have seen it in your own life. All these people that are shouting and they're aggressive and they don't accept any compromise by anyone, and they're really making being in this movement uncomfortable for a lot of people, and so they make these people go away from our movement. And this is one challenge also, because as the movement grows, it becomes more and more of a problem, especially with the new medias like online and social medias. As you maybe remember, a few years ago, I'm not talking about ages ago, but like 10 years ago, if there was someone speaking on TV, there was someone that the media were talking about. It was the organizations, it was the organizers of campaigns, it was the activists, the writers of books. Now anyone is an important person. Anyone can be anyone. Like so, the media are talking about taking anyone like I say normal, not famous animal rights person on Facebook. If this person writes something very, very bad, they can take it, him or her, as a representative of the movement. And so maybe you can have very stupid people. It happens in Italy. It happened so many times, writing so bad things, PR on a PR side, and it was slowly going to some online media, then some paper media, then on TV, like the vegans hate people, like, or something like that. And it was not the big organizations or experienced activists. It was just, you know, a person, an activist, a vegan, someone else, someone that can be you, me, or anyone that makes a comment, a very stupid comment. And you have now, in this moment, you have to think that we have the spotlight on our movement. We have the angry farmers looking for us. We have the haters. We have the people that don't want us to grow and become a bigger movement. So any one of us is responsible for the way our movement is viewed by the people. Because any one of us can make a stupid comment or a stupid post on Facebook and, you know, like saying, I'm happy about the earthquake happening in Nepal, so many people died and they won't kill animals. This was written really by a person in Italy. It was on national media, on TV. It was not a big organization or an official organization saying that, but it was the vegans hate people, they're happy about the earthquake in Nepal. So, you know, this is something that anybody of us is responsible of. Anybody of us can make the difference about. And whenever you see these people saying stupid things and stupid comments, it's up to us. I know it's annoying, but we should be really trying. We should try to make them think about it, think twice about the consequences of what they're doing, getting people away because our movement seems really bad and negative and aggressive, and then also maybe creating some problems. I just mentioned the earthquake thing, but it happens so many times that now and then when we are really an expanding movement, this is a challenge that we are facing, and it's something that we really have to work on. So I want to leave you with just one final thought. As I said, I don't have the answer to all these challenges. I know we have to work on this. I have made some suggestions maybe, but it's something that we have to think about, because as we grow, we will face more problems, maybe more challenges will come, and the more challenges we will face, the harder we will have to work and find other routes. And definitely we are winning, we are getting results, and the movement is getting results for animals. We can see it from excellent talks here, also from all over the world, but we can do more. And I want to leave you with one question for yourself. I like to make questions to myself. And this is where I get the answers and where I can find the road I want to follow. And this is, what can I do to have the greatest impact on the life of animals? So this is to me, this is to you, to all of you, every day try to answer this question honestly and thinking about it without any, ideology, and then maybe this will bring you to have more results and save more animals in the future. And I hope to be here maybe in 5 years and speaking about more and more successes for the Italian and European movement. Thank you.